They say time reveals all things, but in truth, people reveal themselves long before time does. We just choose not to see it. Every person wears a mask, charm, kindness, politeness, but behind that mask, there are moments, small, sharp moments, that show who they truly are. Character is not about what people say. It's about how they handle reality, rejection, power, discomfort, truth. It's about what they do when kindness isn't convenient. Today we'll explore 6 red flags that quietly expose a person's true character, the ones most people miss until it's too late. 1. How they react when you say no. If you want to see someone's true character, tell them no. Not in anger, not to provoke, just calmly, firmly, as a person with boundaries. Then watch what happens. The moment you stop being convenient to someone is the moment their mask begins to crack. Kindness that was once effortless now disappears. The warmth in their voice turns cold. Their patience evaporates. They might call you selfish for protecting your time, or distant for needing space. They might even twist your boundaries into guilt, as if saying no makes you ungrateful or unkind. But here's the truth. Good people don't fear your boundaries. They respect them. Only those who are benefiting from your silence will resent your honesty. When someone loves control more than connection, your no feels like betrayal. When someone loves you for who you are, your no feels safe, because it means you trust them enough to be real. So pay attention. How they respond to your refusal says far more than how they behave when everything goes their way. In the end, it's not your yeses that reveal people. It's your no. 2. How they treat those who can't benefit them. If you want to glimpse a person's soul, watch how they treat those who owe them nothing. The waiter, the cleaner, the stranger who holds the door, the people they believe don't matter. That's where their shadow speaks. Carl Jung once wrote, "The shadow is that hidden part of the personality, which the conscious ego does not wish to acknowledge, and this is where it shows. Not in their polite words, not in their curated kindness, but in the split second when no one important is watching. The persona, the mask we wear to appear decent, smiles at equals, but the shadow whispers in moments of superiority, a condescending tone, a careless insult, a silence that feels heavier than words. People like to believe they are kind, but kindness that changes with social status is not kindness, it's performance. The truth of a person is never revealed in how they treat those above them, but in how they behave toward those beneath them. Because when the ego feels safe enough to drop the act, the shadow takes the stage, and every suppressed impulse finally finds its voice. So, observe quietly. When they think no one is keeping score, how do they treat the ones who can't give them anything back? That's not just a red flag, that's a revelation. A brief, unfiltered flash of who they've always been behind the mask. 3. How they handle your success. Jealousy is one of the most disguised emotions. It rarely shouts, it smiles, it congratulates you, but with eyes that don't quite match the words. When you rise, pay attention to the silence around you. Some people will clap louder, others will withdraw quietly, as if your light has stolen something from them. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Jealousy is just that, a mirror turned the wrong way. It's a reflection of someone's own unfulfilled potential, their unlived dreams, their secret belief that your success means their failure. A secure person sees your growth and feels inspired. An insecure one feels exposed. Because your courage reminds them of all the times they stayed silent, you'll notice it in their tone, how they minimize what you've achieved, or change the topic quickly, or start competing where you never invited competition. Real friends expand with you. They celebrate your evolution, because it affirms their own capacity to grow. False ones shrink away, because your becoming threatens their illusion of balance. So don't chase validation from those who can't handle your light. Some people need you to stay small so they can remain comfortable in their reflection. But you were never meant to dim your flame to soothe another person's shadow. 4. How they speak about others. Listen carefully when someone talks about others, because they're also talking about themselves. The words people choose are confessions. They think they're describing someone else, but in truth, they're painting a self-portrait. Carl Jung wrote, "What you criticize in others may be the thing you are unwilling to see in yourself." That is projection, the mind's way of throwing its own shadow onto the world so it doesn't have to face it within. The one who calls everyone selfish is often driven by hidden greed. The one who calls others dramatic is often terrified of their own emotions. And the one who constantly finds flaws in everyone else is trying to distract from the cracks in their own reflection. When someone gossips, mocks, or delights in another's failure, they reveal their relationship with power. They feed on comparison, because comparison makes them feel momentarily above. But the truth is this: we reveal our morality most when we think no one is measuring it. Notice how they speak about a friend who isn't present. That's exactly how they'll speak about you when you're not around. Words carry energy. Every cruel comment plants a seed in the atmosphere of their own mind, and in time, those seeds bloom into the life they secretly deserve. So when you meet someone who speaks gently, who protects the absent, who praises without envy, keep them close, because few things are rarer than a person who can look at another's light without feeling the need to dim it. 5. How they act when you're vulnerable. Vulnerability is the quietest form of courage. It's the moment you lower your armor and let someone see the raw, unedited version of your soul. But that moment, that sacred opening, is also a test. Carl Jung wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. When you open yourself to another, something in both of you changes. One becomes softer. The other, if they lack empathy, becomes powerful. Watch closely. When you share your fears, do they listen, or do they turn your confession into a story about themselves? Do they hold space for your tears, or do they use your pain as proof of your weakness? The truth is, empathy cannot be faked for long. At first, everyone seems gentle, but when your vulnerability no longer benefits them, their patience fades, their tone hardens, and suddenly your feelings are too much. That's when you realize they didn't love you. They loved the version of you that never needed anything. Your openness threatens the armor they live behind. So when you cry and they look away, it's not that you're too emotional. It's that they've never allowed themselves to feel. And when you find someone who stays, who doesn't flinch when you tremble, who doesn't rush to fix you, but simply holds the space, know that you've found something rare. A person whose soul is awake enough to meet yours. Because vulnerability doesn't expose weakness. It reveals who's capable of love and who's merely pretending to understand it. 6. How they handle power. Give someone power, and you'll meet their shadow. Not necessarily great power. Sometimes it's just a small advantage, a title, influence, authority over others, or even the subtle power that comes from knowing you care more than they do. Carl Jung warned that the larger the shadow, the smaller the soul. Power doesn't corrupt, it reveals. It draws the hidden parts of the psyche out from beneath the surface. The masks of humility, compassion, and decency begin to slip, and what was once polite becomes controlling. A person's relationship with power is their relationship with truth, because power amplifies whatever is already inside. If they are kind, power deepens their kindness. If they are cruel, Power gives their cruelty permission to speak. You'll notice it in the smallest things, how they speak to someone below them, how they treat people when they think no one's watching, how quickly they forget equality the moment hierarchy enters the room. Jung believed that every person carries both light and shadow, and if the shadow remains unexamined, it will demand expression through domination. The insecure seek control, the arrogant seek worship, and the unconscious seek followers instead of mirrors. But true strength needs no performance. Real authority doesn't humiliate, it elevates. It listens more than it commands. It teaches without demanding reverence. Watch closely when someone gains a little power. Do they still remember humility? Do they still look others in the eyes as equals? Because integrity is not tested when you have nothing. It's tested when you finally have something to lose. In the end, the way someone handles power reveals whether their soul serves their ego or their ego serves their soul. People always tell you who they are, not through their words, but through the moments they don't control, through the tone that slips when they're angry, through the silence that follows your success, through how they treat those who cannot fight back. Red flags are not punishments. They are teachers. They ask us to wake up, to see without illusion, to stop confusing charm with character and potential with peace. When we learn to notice how people respond to truth, to weakness, to power, we stop being blinded by appearances. We begin to see the shadow behind the smile and the honesty behind the silence. And the most powerful part? When you learn to see others clearly, you begin to see yourself clearly too. Because the traits we notice, the ones that trigger us or draw us in, are reflections of what lives inside us. We all carry light, we all carry shadow, but those who have the courage to face both become the rarest kind of people. So don't fear what you see in others. Let it sharpen your awareness, not your cynicism. The more clearly you see the world, the more peace you'll find in it, because wisdom begins the moment you stop trying to repaint the red flags and finally learn to respect what they're showing you. If this video helped you see things a little clearer, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need that same clarity today. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. I need your help to grow this channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.